Once again, we welcome back to the class, and we want to put a final touch to our calculator so as to enhance its functions. We want to add a delete button instead of just clear button. We'll also be adding a log and antilog. At the same time, we will be adding more functions such as the root, the square, the cube, the inverse, and pi functions. So let's start with the clear button. This clear button is expected to function as our delete button. So I want to change the name now to delete. So this will stand as our delete button now. Already I've configured it in the more button such that when the more button is clicked, it changes from state 1, where the delete is the clear button. It changed from delete to clear, as you can see it here. So in more button, the first column, you see the clear button is now set to clear. Now I'll move on to the delete button itself. On the delete button, I've set it initially. What you have here is what you have on your blocks, but now I've moved it inside more button. More button equals to 2, such that it's only when you have the second function, that's when it works as a clear, and when you have it as 1, it works as a delete button. So let's study the delete button now. For the delete button, I've said if the length of the digit accumulator, that's where we that's where we save our digits temporarily. So if the length of the digit accumulator is set to a value greater than 0, then set the digit accumulator to digit accumulator substring 0 to length of digit accumulator minus 1. So the length of the digit accumulator is reduced by 1. That's what this does. So for us to get this, and for it to display what we have done on the screen, I set the question screen to set text to the digit accumulator. For us to achieve this, I used an if-else button block. So in the if-else block, I set more button equals to 1 as usual. Then I also use the greater than. Yes, you can say it, greater than. So if the greater than, yes, then the length of, you see also in this operator. If the length of, then I put my digit accumulator variable. The length of the digit accumulator is greater than 0. That is, there's something in the digit accumulator. Then it sets the digit accumulator is a string, not a number, so I use the string. It sets the digit accumulator to substring. Come to substring here. Substring. Okay, substring. Yes, then the substring is the digit accumulator, digit in a variable, digit accumulator, substring 0. Then so the length minus 1, length minus 1. So you bring the minus operator, length of, then you check for length of digit accumulator, length of digit accumulator minus 1. So what this does is that it just subtracts one value from the digit accumulator. So in such a case, it's deleting the value in the digit accumulator. And so as to display this on the screen, we set text. That's what I mean. Set text of the question screen. Set text of the question screen to the digit accumulator. So whatever is in the digit accumulator is displayed on the question screen. And if the length of the digit accumulator is therefore not greater than, I set it to 1, it should be 0. That is, if there is no value, if it's greater than 0, that's what happens. But when it's 0, what should happen? It should just set it back to 0. Set the digit accumulator. Set the digit accumulator to 0 and display it with the text view. Set text to the question screen to value of the digit accumulator, variable digit accumulator. So this is the value that you have in this more button equals to 1. So once you have done this, you plug it into this place and you are done. But I'll delete this now. You can now set up yours. So that's what you do in the clear on click. So we are done with that. Then I want to move to the log. So the same way we set up the before I come to the log, let's talk about the more functions for the plus, minus, times, and equal to. So I come to the more functions. Already you've seen that I've set the more function. Apart from the cosine term that was here before and the square root that was here before, I now have for the plus, minus, multiplication, division, delete, and the log. So all this is to display a new value when it's set. So when it is set now, the plus will now display x squared. It will display the value squared. So then minus will display pi. Times works as our x cube, while divide works as our x inverse, and log works as our antilog. So that's that. Once you've set that correctly, both in more button equals to 1 and 2, you proceed to the equals. You proceed to the buttons in themselves. You now configure them. For the divided, we are using it also for the inverse. So initially what you have here was what you had in this place was what you had here was this is the original settings that you have here, but because we want to give it a two-state value now, I'll create an if more button equals to 1, that is the normal state. So I'll drop what was there, I'll drop it in the more button equals to 1, so, and drag it inside the else block. So then if more button equals to 2, now that is the second function, which is to perform the inverse value. So the only thing that will be changing here is the sign accumulator as well as the value of that it will display, which is -1. So this is to tell you, and just as you can see in this place, I've set it as -1. So it displays whatever the person types, then -1 will end it at the question display. So that's that with that. The same thing I did for the times. I'll be using my times as my cube. So the same way, the only thing I'll be changing is this raised to power 3. So I'll save all this. Ensure you are using raised to power 3, not just 3. There's a difference between 3 and raised to power 3. When you click and hold, you have raised to power 3. Save. So the same for your minus, which you'll be using in this case for your pi. The only thing is that you use pi here. So once you have all this saved, the plus also you do the same thing, and we are using our plus for the square of value. So with all these sets, we've configured our signs, we've configured our more buttons. We want to now configure the equal to perform the function. Now I also added an additional button, which is this log button. So the same way you configure the cos, sine, and the tan, that's the same way you're going to configure the log button. The log button is just going to contain log, then it sets the value to 1718. I also must mention this, that when we are setting our values for the square, we continue increasing the sign accumulator value. The sign accumulator value now is set to 15 for the squared. For the minus is set to 16. For the times, that's the one we're using for our cube, is set to 14, while the divided is set to 13. So that's for our inverse. So with all this set, now proceed to the final stage, which is the equal to button. For your equal to button, this is where we need to pay more attention. Initially what we have initially was this. You check through, this was what we had up to 12 and then 1 to 5 here, 1 to 4, sorry. So this is what you had initially. So for you to achieve what I've been able to achieve now, what we are going to do is to create an if-else block, which we are going to use basically for the inverse. We are going to use it for the cube. We are going to use it for the square. We are going to use it for the pi, and we are going to use it for the log, and as well as the Antilog. So let's start. I'll start first with the log and the Antilog. This is the log and the Antilog. So for this log and the Antilog, set your sign accumulator to greater than 16. You do this, if else block. Then you set it if your operator is greater than 16. Is greater than 16. You know, we are saying 17, so that's why we said greater than 16. If sign accumulator is greater than 16, so the same way we've been setting the values all this while, that's the same way you're going to set others. You can easily just copy this. You can copy this. Sorry. So copy this. You see I've copied it. I want to use it now. The reason why I'm having this difficulty is because I'm trying to show you where is it? I'm sorry. So you could just copy any of them. Then when you've copied it, what we want to work on is for 17. We said greater than 16, sorry. So greater than 16. Yes, then you copy like I said and drop it here. When you copy it, make sure you now set it for 16 is log. So you set this to log, just as you can see in this case, and other things remain the same, as you can see. So when you are done with 16, oh sorry, I made a mistake. I need to delete this. You need to copy the whole block. Oh sorry. Oh, I did not copy the other time. You need to copy the whole block of 17 and put it here. That's what I mean. You understand what I did now? So then you set your screen, your question screen. Generally for this, a general question screen, you have it this way. So question screen, this is what will show the question screen sets, just as you can see here. You could just copy it and put it here, as we have it in other blocks too. So I'm going to revert it now. I'm trying to revert it. When you are done with the 16, the 17 and 18, which is for the log and the antilog, you can now proceed to set up for the other signs, which include the inverse. This is the inverse now. This block is for the inverse. I'm talking of this one alone now. Sorry. So I'm talking of just this upper part alone. That's for the inverse. You set it up. When you are done, plug it. Just so you can see, they do the same for other signs, and make sure you plug them rightly. Don't plug it inside there. If you plug it this way, it will work, otherwise it will not. You can see 15, 16. Now there is something peculiar about the pi, because you don't want the pi to give error when they've not typed anything in the accumulator. So in that case, you will need to set a value to pi. So that is why I said I use an if else block. If A is empty, just like you can see here, A is empty, you can see it now, then you set the number A to 1 and D to A times pi. And if it's not empty, that's else, you set D to A times pi. So the value in A before now will be set to pi. So also you set the answer screen as usual as the digit accumulator. You could leave it like this. I was just trying to expand the functionality, that's why I just did this, so that in case of next time I have something else I want to join, that's why I'm using this. So you don't need it. So I'll revert. Now that we have configured everything here, we now need to bring back our I'm trying to revert something. This phone seems to hang. Yeah. Now you can see now. Let me show you the whole breakdown from the top now. Now we have an if else block which covers the whole entire block. Now in the else portion, what you have earlier is what is here. This was the block you had initially, so that's what I'm trying to insert inside this else part. You can see now. So with that done, I also have another if okay, I also have another if block, which is this, which I inserted below the 16. This is the if sign accumulator is greater than 16. I want to use that special for the log and the Antilog. I could have avoided this if I had clicked the button earlier. I could have joined it with this cosine, tan, and the root here. But since I didn't do that earlier, that's why I need this if block. The essence of this if block is because of the type of I want to give it. So that's the essence of that, because the display for this is a little different from the display for the inverse, square, and the cube. So that's why we are having this. What do I mean by the difference in the display? You can see this join, this question screen now. The way it's displayed, it has to display the question and join it with the value in the accumulator. Whereas for this inverse and others, what it does is just to pick the value. Sorry. For this, I want to make an adjustment. I don't need this question screen again. The reason why I don't need it is because it's already configured before now. Sorry, I don't need it. So it's already configured out in the sign button. The moment you click the sign, is already configured to display the question in the right way, so we don't need to change what is being displayed again. So, and you can see that we are not affecting what is being displayed at all throughout here. So that's why we need to affect what is being displayed only for this log and antilog. You know, the way we will display antilog is such that you press the log before you press the number you want to press. So that's why we need to display a new screen, and that's the function of this question screen that you have in this place. So, but in the case of inverse, square, square root, you first type the number before you find the square, before you find the square, before you find the inverse and the likes. So that's why you have all this way. So with all this set, just trying to verify if there is any error on my code in my blocks. It seems there is none. Okay, so I'm done. With all this done now, I want to proceed and run it. Let's see what happens.